there, you sexy motherfuckers. It's Billy Kirkwood here, along with, look at that, the voice of the #1 YouTube Celtic podcast, taking over the airwaves. It's Ryan Simon's over there. Ryan, how the bloody hell are you, man?
It's good to be back. I'm buzzing to talk about some wrestling. Do you know what's funny, Billy? I sat down to watch Backlash this morning, right? And see, as soon as I pressed play, I went, we forgot to do Backlash predictions. And then it dawned on me, if there's any pay-per-view out of the entire year that you don't even need to bother doing predictions for, it's Backlash. It's Backlash. So it didn't really matter, but it's good to be back to review it this time, right?
It certainly is. And just very quickly, you might have seen it, the sort of pre is going live, little advert we put up there. Obviously, me and this is breaking news. We're doing this on the Sunday afternoon. This is breaking news. Maybe in like the last hour, that sadly Sabu has passed away at the age of 60. Especially considering shocking. We were saying that it was his last match at the Joey Janela Spring Break show. You were saying you don't even think it was 3 weeks ago.
I don't think it's like so recent, and it was crazy because I was watching the clips from the match and watching the really insane barbed wire spot and stuff, and I'm like, feels like last night I was just sitting scrolling Twitter watching those clips.
Yeah, man, and you know something, like we talk about Hall of Famers, we talk about icons and what have you. Everyone talks about ECW, but there is a guy that changed up. When I first saw Sabu clips, and I'm a much more vintage gentleman than you, Ryan, but when I first saw that, I was like, who is this guy? Like, I started to, back in the day when we had wrestling magazines, when you couldn't, you can only get tape traders or DVD traders and stuff like that. Who is this guy? Because he looked so fucking amazing and cool and wild. And then you would see the incredible matches he had with, I think the first match I saw him have was like with Mick Foley. I think I got that from a tape trader. Finn Martin, shout out to our boys who used to do Power Slam, you absolute legends. And so much more. And you just think about the career that man has had. It's got to be 30 years plus around the globe.
That's nuts, because you brought up the point about how he looked, and I remember when I was young, it was that era of WWE, CW. They kind of returned to the aesthetic of that ECW. That they brought it back, they revived it, and I was so young at the time. I was 6, 7 years old, and I remember like turning it on and watching it and being like, that guy looks so different, and he looked so unique. There was a presence about Sabu, and he was just an absolute nutter from the first to the last whistle. And I think that was just one of the very unique things about his presence, the fact that he was just a nutter of the highest order, but in a good way, in a good sense of the word, a nutter that you love to watch.
We had those he had so many incredible matches, whether it be, the violent brawls, the stuff he did with like FMW over. But this was a guy that also won the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Championship. Just to chuck that in there for just a second, he wrestled Too Cold Scorpio, so amazing. He had so much fucking talent, did Sabu, and aura. And it's too early to say these things, but we chuck names around for Hall of Fame. I don't think Sabu would be out of place in the WWE Hall of Fame. Could just the impact he made to pro wrestling. And of course, our condolences go out to his family. A rough couple of years had Sabu as well. Our condolences go out to his family, and of course, the fans and everyone. It's an incredible game changer. And I hate saying things like this. I don't know if there'll ever be another Sabu. I don't know.
Listen, he's one of a kind. I know that was Rob Van Dam's thing, but god damn it, he was one of a kind.
Oh, the stuff with Rob. Anyway, right. Maybe we'll look back at Sabu another time. But we're here to talk about Backlash. So on a rare occasion, I got back from my gig last night, literally timed walking in the door with Backlash starting, and one of the worst pizzas I've ever had in my life. So I'll have we Ryan.
Great night for you.
We need to sit down and talk about what's the premier wrestling snacks. The snacks you need to have a wrestling one day. I reckon that would be a wormhole. Maybe we'll get some guests on and we'll talk about that. I ordered a pizza blind. I didn't check the reviews. I went with what was just eaten open, and I'll never let him make that fucking
It's never a good combination. I remember coming in one time for a night out in Glasgow and ordering a kebab at 4 in the morning, thinking the one kebab shop that was open in the whole of Glasgow was going to be any good at 4 in the morning, and it was a disaster. But the less said about that, the better.
Let's talk wrestling. To give it an overview, mate, just to start off, what did you think of the show as a whole? What did you think of the show?
Do you know what? Honestly, I thought it was fun. I actually did enjoy Backlash. I think it was a groundbreaking, or memorable pay-per-view. No, of course not. But as I said at the start of the show, I alluded to it, Backlash has always been one of the harder pay-per-views to book. Wrestling calendar. I don't think that it's nice to try and book a show that follows on from WrestleMania when you tend to set up yourself for the year, or you or you close yourself off for the year. Backlash really offers not too much in the way of change, in the way of unpredictability. So you look at the last few Backlashes, they've got people involved like Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico. Last year, it obviously brought out the debut of Tama Tonga, and I think they got I think that was when Tonga Loa debuted as well. They tried to get some bloodline shenanigans. It's a show that really needs some spice, and we've seen that this year with, of course, Jeff Cobb, and we'll talk about that a wee bit more. But yeah, in terms of the show itself, look, it was fine. I had a lot of fun with it. A few things to nitpick, a few things I'm not so happy about, but in general, solid enough. 3 out of 5 stars, I'd say.
That's fair. That's pretty much exactly what I was B minus. You know, not bad,
middle of the road,
amazing, just right in the middle. And the reason I bring that up is I'm looking at Raw the past last couple of weeks, and even looking at Mania as a whole. This is a trend. This is a little bit of a trend that I'm not particularly bowled over with right now. Right, there seems to be some creative stuff is hot and really hitting hard, and some other stuff is just man. Maybe there's still a little bit of, I don't want to say bad blood, no pun intended. There's still a little something in there, maybe after the release season, what have you? Because I don't know, maybe I just thought it was an okay show. A couple of things about it. I'm gonna do it slightly in reverse. I want to talk about the main event, because this was another, if you were to put this into quarters, 3 of those quarters are great. 1 was stinking, right? The main event was just okay. It was never going to live up to some of the classic matches that John and Randy had. That's nothing really against the competitors. I just think if you're setting the bar that high, because they had some absolute barn burners in their feud.
They also had some absolute stinkers as well.
They also had some absolute stinkers. There are guys that just don't have natural chemistry together, but can have great matches. They can have great matches. This was another fall short for John Cena, and we talked a little bit about this in the last show. I'm getting concerned. I'm getting concerned with the heel gimmick. Maybe this is, there was a little bit at the end where it looked like he was second guessing the heel.
Yeah, and I don't know, if I wonder if that's WWE acknowledging that there is something there that might need to change moving forward, that maybe they'll turn this round quicker than they originally intended to. I think there has to be some form of acknowledgement that, and I don't think it's through the fault of the performer itself. I think John Cena is doing everything he can do. He's great. He's a natural at everything he does. But, you know, he was hung out to dry with The Rock building all of this, then bailing. You know, that's essentially it. You know, and John Cena's had to pick up the pieces of that, and he's done so by getting the same promo given to him week after week. So there's only so much he could do with that, Billy.
Definitely, and he's not been allowed to really expand the whole ruin wrestling. He's not been coming out kind of promo fucking off. I think on Monday we got a backstage segment. Whoa, fucking steady on, John. You know, we got one thing with R-Truth, and can I also say, right, I don't know if you saw the post press conference, but he put R-Truth through a table.
Have you seen that like rumor flying around for Saturday night's main event? And I can't tell if it was a joke or not.
Him versus R-Truth?
R-Truth, apparently, for Saturday night main event in a couple of weeks.
Right. Two things I've got to say to that. Right. First of all, see the bit going through the table in a press conference to silence. Absolute fucking silence.
Weird, isn't it?
And get some extras in. Get somebody making a noise. That was so
awkward.
Fucking cringing and awkward. I hated that.
That's the kind of thing that, like, do you remember like when Drew went off his head? I think it was the post Money in the Bank press conference, and it was like in the gantry of the arena, and there was loads of fans like watching the show. Yeah. And Drew was flipping his lid, he was going crazy, he was going nuts, shouting and swearing, and nearly killed Wade Barrett. And it was like it worked because there was fans all around. It was a bit weird in this wee secluded room.
Yeah. But the bit with if John Cena's taking on R-Truth, I don't hate it because people love R-Truth.
Yep.
Like they love R-Truth.
Is that kind of way just to give R-Truth one last sort of main event? Thank you for everything he's done.
Or is it the whole Ruin Wrestling thing? R-Truth has been this comedy character around, so John Cena's going to kill him off or whatever. I don't know. I mean, they've never really had any business together, I believe, apart from the tag stuff with the Miz way back when.
They main evented Capital Punishment 2011.
John Cena they did
for the WWE Championship.
So, maybe there's something in there. There's something in there, but I hated that press conference thing. And part of me went like, is this where we're going? Like, okay, I guess Cena's getting to wrestle the guys he wants to wrestle or maybe doing stuff he wants to do. Don't love it. And after a so-so main event and series this is exactly what's going to happen in pro wrestling. And this is what I'll be doing. These fucking press conference promos are cutting. They're shit. I'm going to say it. They're shit.
I'm glad that we're starting with the main event because I had a lot to say about the main event. I actually enjoyed the match up until the ending because my expectations were on the floor. I was not expecting these two to have a really good match. And that was just going off the fact that the Mania main event was pretty poor, and that was with Cody. That was going off the fact that I thought they had more misses than hits back in the day. It was just going off the fact that I just had a bad feeling about the match. So my expectation, I thought the build was relatively weak. I thought the build was really poor. So my expectations were on the floor. So they surpassed my expectations. I actually enjoyed the match, but the ending,
totally.
Don't really know. Kind of killed everything that was going for the match, in my opinion.
I kind of get what I get totally what you're saying. I never found myself on paper being particularly excited about this. Cena had some killer matches with Umaga. He had some killer matches with CM Punk. I can think of other, like Edge, of course. He had a series with Edge and what have you. The Randy Orton thing. I remember living through the Randy Orton feud the first time round and thinking, along with the rest of the wrestling world, this is going on a bit.
Yeah, like, they really didn't know when to stop, did they?
Yeah, it was almost as if like, right, we get one good match, we get that we get a barnstormer match, and then we move on. So I thought it was passable.
Yeah.
Until the end.
The ending really killed it.
I really did, and concern again, like these shows after Mania as well. And I don't know, maybe some people are going to be sitting there disagreeing with me and going like, I thought Mania was fucking incredible, blah, 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 blah. It's like, cool, that's fair. That's absolutely fair. You're allowed to think that, but I didn't think it was incredible. I just thought it was okay.
I think one of the weirdest things I'm taking from it is, and this is no disrespect to R-Truth, who's a legend in his own right for what he does, but if this is truly, and I'm assuming it will be, the last time that John Cena and Randy Orton ever face each other, right? If it is the last time ever, why was the ending to that? They go on about this being the most famous rivalry in WWE history. I don't personally agree with that, but if it is the most famous rivalry in WWE history, why does it end with, I mean, with all due respect, a jobber interfering at the end of the match? That has no relevance to the story, no relevance to the rivalry or the title.
How dare you?
I know, right?
Former NWA World Heavyweight Champion, former tag team champion, former US.
I love Ron Killings. I love Ron Killings, Billy. But at this stage in his career, to be jumping in the last time Randy Orton fights John Cena, what?
I guess part of me is like this: like, do we get a change in R-Truth? Can we get like a serious R-Truth? I mean, he's beloved. There's no doubt about it. But can the 55-year-old? That's right, folks. He is nearly 55.
And that's when I asked the question. Even if there was a change in attitude with R-Truth, is that what wrestling fans are wanting or needing in the year 2025?
I guess, yeah, I take your point. But, for a Saturday night's main event, if that show is going to be fun, I don't know, man.
I'm not against fun in wrestling. And if they have that wee match, that wee moment, as I said, if it's like a reward to R-Truth, it's the kind of guy who deserves it for his years of service.
Yeah.
But I would have rather that came about in a more silly fashion rather than him running about in the main event of Randy Orton versus John Cena. Why could it not have been Raw tomorrow night where something happened?
Is he still going to say, John Cena, you're my childhood idol? Is kind of what I mean, Or is John Cena going to come out on Monday Night Raw tomorrow and go like, I'm not a childhood idol. You're 6 years old. Is he just imagine that he just totally breaks it and goes, fuck, is this the step to ruin wrestling? Or am I booking something in my head that is better than what we're seeing?
Probably.
Who the fuck knows? Who the fuck knows? But no, I disappointed with the match. Wasn't excited about it going in. Moving on. But there were plenty of things to get excited about this.
Yes.
First of all, will we talk about the US title match right at the start?
Yeah.
First of all, I think on behalf of both of us, we haven't heard full reports about still doing it after all this time. Drew McIntyre bumping his head.
Sorry, Drew Galloway and Drew McIntyre's the same person.
Oh yeah, I don't know what you mean.
But yeah, that was a pretty. That was a pretty nasty knock, wasn't it?
It looked horrible, to be honest. But I know that Drew's made a ton of stuff, and I know that WWE will look after him in that respect. But first of all, I quite enjoyed this US title match. I was a little worried initially because I thought it took the crowd a bit of a while to get in to it. Like they didn't seem to know who to cheer for, and that is a bit of a problem with certainly within Jacob Fatu and Solo Sikoa, what have you. I don't think the crowd know what to do now. Like, because there's all this kind of moving towards this Jacob Fatu face.
It's so crazy when you lay out all four men in this match, right? It's very clear. LA Knight and Damien Priest are supposed to be the faces. Drew McIntyre and Jacob Fatu are supposed to be the heels. But Drew and Jacob are getting just as big a cheer as the faces in the match. Like, they're loved. This is the problem with modern day wrestling. There is no such thing as a clear-cut babyface and a clear-cut heel, because the famous saying goes, you love to cheer the guys you're meant to boo, and you love to boo the guys you're meant to cheer. It's just the modern wrestling fan. So that's a difficult thing to try and overcome, especially when crowds really dictate the tempo and the flow of a match. But I thought all four of them done a great job, because it was a cracking opener, Billy. It was a really good opener.
The four ways are difficult to I could have phrased that better. I think we all agree. Four-way matches are difficult to maneuver at the best of time. Look, I'll tell this from experience. Four ways, somebody always ends up getting left out. But this is what I can tell you. Somebody ends up strolling in their phone in the corner. But in terms of a four-way match, it's tricky to keep that going, because obviously you're not one to... I'm going back to Money in the Bank matches, where you would see people like on the outside, almost like waiting for their spot and all that, to make it look organic. But you got four great workers in this. Absolutely four great workers in this. And I loved it. Did I feel at any point that the US title was going to change hands? No, not really. I didn't feel like there was a surprise coming. Although there was a surprise mid-match where, despite the fact that a week ago he was retired, Jeff Cobb made his WWE debut and appears to be aligning himself with Solo Sikoa and the new bloodline. So
how are they going to sell that then? Are we going to get some... I seen a great tweet earlier on tonight, and it was like, we are going to get some BS story about how Jeff Cobb's granda played poker one night with fucking High Chief Peter Maivia. Like, how are they going to sell it? I don't know, but I'll tell you one thing. Not that I ever doubted Jeff Cobb. I've had the pleasure of seeing Jeff Cobb live. I've seen him live, and it was great. But I was kind of worried about the reaction he maybe get. I wasn't totally sure if like the casual WWE audience would have been really aware of who he was. But it was a good sound for him, man. It was a great sound for him.
People saw that face and they know what he's capable of. I think that's the whole thing. I mean, we talk about what it's kind of cool because you think of what Jacob Fatu can do and you think of what Jeff Cobb can do, and it's two completely different things. And for me, I immediately put heat back on Solo Sikoa. So he'd been bubbling away with this really interesting character, and it made me go like, oh, I like this, because Jacob doing a great job of going like, well, this is the first time fucking hearing about this. What, you know, and it would be nothing better than Solo going, well, I mean, I was always the tribal chief. Like nothing ever fucking changed. Like, where did you think? To borrow a Shane McMahon line from way back when, I never lost my place in line.
Yep.
You know,
and
so
the only thing that I would worry about, and it's just the same thing I said when Jacob arrived, is this going to be even more detrimental to Solo Sikoa? Because as soon as Jeff Cobb gets that singlet on and he's in that ring, we know what he can do. Listen, Solo's a talented guy, we know that, but
very much
really struggling to find that connection with the crowd. And Jacob has become the star overnight and Solo's not really benefited from that. Is that going to happen again?
Do you know, man? I think it's a tricky one because like Solo is like he was brought in this intimidating physical enforcer role, and then you stand him next to Jacob Fatu, and people go like, "No, that guy is that role."
Yep, he's the intimidating guy.
But one thing about Solo is he's got better at the mic. He's got better at helping tell that story. Less is more, and what have you. I don't know. I'm not as worried about it with Jeff Cobb for some reason because, and this isn't taking anything away from Jeff, I haven't heard a lot of promo stuff from Jeff.
Yeah,
so
same.
And they need backup. And I think there being a quiet storyline in the background with Solo. If they play this right, Solo could become one of the biggest heels again in the company on his own merit, as opposed to being the guy that was like the wee brother trying to
they need to book it. They have to book it wisely. I think that they need to make sure that they pull the trigger at the right time. What I think that Triple H has maybe struggled with since taking the creative reins of things has been not pulling the trigger. Like there's certain things you can look at, the height of LA Knight's popularity, some of the stuff with Drew, even as recent as things that happened maybe on the build up to Mania. Like, he's really not great at finding where the trigger should be pulled. And if he leaves it too long, that's where Solo will suffer. So I hope that they pull it at the right time. And I hope that they make the decision to split them entirely or whatnot at the right time and don't drag it on to the point where people are bored.
Yes, yeah. Well, this could be a hot thing going into the summer. And I'm excited about that because it could be a hot I keep using the word should be a hot thing going into the summer.
And surely it leads to something at SummerSlam, whether it's Solo versus Jacob or whether it includes Jeff Cobb, whatever. Surely that's the aim.
Get it going, man. Just get it going. Get some, traction. I'm very excited to see Jeff Cobb in WWE finally. Realistically, I think it should have happened a fucking decade ago, but that's just one man's opinion. Then we're going on to I think probably the best match in the show.
It's a great match.
Becky Lynch has shut me the fuck up because her role in WWE there it is now. It's helping elevate. I was worried, Ryan. I'm not going to lie.
And we all were.
Yeah, she was going to beat Lyra for the WWE Women's Intercontinental Championship. Legit, a bit worried. And a bit worried that the fans weren't going to really accept her in this heel role. Because but clearly the wave of it's Becky's back has been quickly replaced, which is the second time that's fucking happened. But I thought
I'll say
relevant things. I thought she did a great job.
Becky is in the same situation as Jey Uso in the sense that what you see about her online doesn't necessarily translate into the building. What helps with Becky is no matter what the opinion of her online is with the casual fan and maybe those who are just going because they enjoy watching wrestling live, but they aren't maybe hardcore, they know who Becky is because she is a genuine star. So they might not bother with all the BS, the politicking and the online opinion because they don't see it. So when she goes out there in an arena, she benefits from that. The fact it's not 20,000 internet marks that are sitting in the building, it's people who maybe that's Becky Lynch. She main evented WrestleMania. She's a big time star. And that works for her. And as you said, fair play for going in and helping elevate Lyra. I thought this was brilliant. I was tempted to skip it this morning just because I was in a rush. And I went, no, I want to watch this match. And I'm glad I did because it was bloody brilliant.
I thought it might have been my favorite match on the show, to be honest. I first of all, isn't it weird as a wrestling fan how some things will put you off straight away? See, when Lyra came down with the big wings, probably went like, I do think this looks kind of stupid. All I can think of, if you've ever seen the wrestling episode of It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, where they dress up as the Freedom Eagles, and it's all I can think of.
That is literally what I see every time. Every single time.
It's all I could think of. And Danny DeVito is the trash man. It's all I could think of. But once we got into it, mentor versus student, I really liked it. I thought Lara looked fantastic. Great to see, may I say. Great to see LJ clearing on TV as well. Although I will say, LJ, mate, you could not have looked more like a creepy guy in a shell suit top with glasses. Like, pass it on or something.
You better not say that too loud or you'll be having words next time he's at ICW.
LJ, maybe it was the look they were going for. I don't know, but part of me were like, because I did see the internet this morning go like, here's Lyra's fiance, there's hope for us. And it's like, first of all, there isn't, because I've called LJ's matches and I know for a fact that man's got a massive banger. So what I can tell you is, right,
What was that in the direction you went in? You couldn't have just said ripping body or like colourful personality. You went with a massive banger.
I'll say that. All right, okay. First of all, athletically, he could fucking take the lot of you. Second of all, he's a funny and entertaining man. Third, an absolute sweetheart. Fourth, massive banger. There you go. I should have put it fourth.
Fair,
I should have put it fourth.
Fair
and LJ, the check is on the post. But no, it was wonderful to see him on TV because it's like, is this? Could this be another depth?
Never know.
Lyra, I don't know. I mean, I know he's on the books. He's on the radar. He's done stuff with AEW. Where could he fit in there somewhere? Excited to see it. But again,
I'm just loving I'm loving the evolution of Lyra. You know, I'm loving the way that she's came into herself, really showing her personality off a lot more these last few weeks. Because up until
Monday was great.
Yeah, up until the last two promos have been fan. That is the best I've ever seen on the mic, because I always thought that when she was in NXT that I struggled to rally behind her, not because of her abilities or anything, just because I didn't believe her. I didn't, not to sound like a coach like Bubba Ray Dudley on fucking LFG, but I didn't believe her. I was like, it's all very independent, never picked up a mic before in their life. And she's came on leaps and bounds, man. And she's been arguably, I mean, you maybe take away Io Sky out of this for a moment, the star of the women's division since Mania.
Yeah, definitely. And it's great to see. We need the evolution of this. We need the evolution of this. And if that's going to be Becky's role, I'm here for it. Let these two feud over the Intercontinental Championship going into the summer. Just let it lead to a big gimmick match or something. SummerSlam, which seems so fucking far away in the WWE world.
Try color on a pole match.
Oh, what an idea! What an idea!
That'll get the Celtic fans buzzing.
I'll get them aboard. Like, next up, Intercontinental Championship in the men's division. Of course, the greatest Intercontinental Champion of all time, the greatest Mysterio of all time, Dominic Mysterio defending against Penta. I'm gonna say something.
Go on.
Right, I am legitimately worried about the slide of Penta. In 4 months.
Oh, wow. Really? Okay, I wasn't expecting that.
Well, because he came in as game-changing, the greatest thing going, like, this is exciting, this is a big money signing, this is, the press, like, everything. And I'm a little worried that because of losses that he has had, due various slightly kind of mugging him off means, I would say, a little worried. Just a little that he's not turning into a cool entrance guy.
I like that there's different
much
opinions.
More than that.
I like that we have a different opinion on things, because I'm not worried. And I'll tell you why. No,
but that reassures me.
I'm not. I think he's still red hot with the crowd. And do you know why I think it all is? I think that undoubtedly, I think we're going to see the Lucha Bros very soon. And I think that's maybe the direction this is heading in. I think that we're going to see it. Maybe not imminently, but before the year is out, I think we're leading to a Lucha Bros.
I guess what bothers me is that I would rather they were going from tag team to singles as opposed to singles to tag team.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. I just feel like that's the direction I've got to go in.
And there's something that worries me about them being like tag team champions. Like, I wish they'd come in as a unit. I genuinely wish they'd come in as a unit. I think it would have benefited both, man. To be honest. And when I say unit, notice I didn't say tag team. I said unit. The idea of them being each other's second and what have they would just be, I don't know, they would just something. For me, there's something a wee bit missing. And for Penta to go for the IC title and not win it twice, he's got plenty of time.
And this is why I think that the Lucha Bros could be sooner than we anticipate, because you think to both times he tried to win the Intercontinental Championship, it was through the Judgment Days sort of shenanigans that things never happened for him. So he needs backup, does it? There's going to that. I think that could happen in the next couple of months. I think there's going to be. I'm fed up with the Judgment Day. I'm here to even the numbers. Bang, here comes Ray Fenix, because Ray Fenix isn't really doing anything on SmackDown at the minute. So listen, it's not nice seeing him lose a couple of Intercontinental Championship matches. I think that this could have benefited from being a sort of triple threat or more than two competitors anyway. But yeah, it was quick, it was to the point. They got it over and done with, didn't they?
No, definitely, and Dominic is going to have to grow into this role as IC champion. He's going to be having to wrestle like good matches. I mean, it's meant to mean you're the second guy after the world champion. You know what I mean? And he did it. He did an okay job. These guys don't have brimming chemistry together, I would say, and it does appear that Penta's transitioning into a feud with El Grande Americano. I don't know if I'm in love with that, to be honest, but there it is. It's El Grande Americano is one of the most over things on the roster right now, so I just thought this match was okay, mate. I just thought it was fine. There's nothing to take anything away from each other. I think if it had been before the women's match, it might have benefited.
With all due respect to the competitors, it was a proper third on the card match.
I think that's fair. Dominic needs to grow into these roles. He needs to be having singles matches like this that go on and he's not getting squashed, and he needs to look like a legitimate champion, unless the whole gimmick is he's not a legitimate champion, but he's already done that with the North American title over in NXT. All right, well, where are we going from there? So just fine. Wasn't blown away. Then a match that we've been looking forward to. I think Pat McAfee versus Gunther. Can I say, first of all, I'm not a big fan of the whole fucking announcers involved with the, what have never have been. See, even the Jerry.
So you don't want involved, you're saying, basically.
Fuck no. To be honest, I don't think I'd be any good. To be brutally honest, I don't think I'd be any good. And also, there's nothing that would worry me more than stinking up a wrestling ring and being there with a wrestler and going like, I am so sorry.
I guess that's where things get a wee bit different with Pat, in the sense that when he first came into WWE, he wasn't an announcer. He was actively, he was in the ring.
Pat wanted to be. I mean, he was a talking head on the pre-shows, which is where he first really caught my attention, because I remember him having a little back and forth with Adam Cole and going like, "Oh, that's right. I've been still, I like that." And then they wouldn't like touch each other for like another year and a half or something. You know what I mean? Like they literally went nowhere. This was like one little segment ago. But Pat played his role in this match perfectly, because he never matched up to the wrestler. The wrestler kicked his ass. Now, Pat, when he was leaving football, bought a wrestling ring. You might have heard the story. He bought a wrestling ring, was learning how to train. Rip Rogers trained him and what have you, because he thought that might be where he goes next. Things kind of worked out and didn't work out at the same time. Pat did great. He's in there, one of the best wrestlers in the world. He's not. There was opportunity. There was flashes in the match, which I really liked, where like when Gunther went for a German suplex and he landed on his feet, because he's an athlete, flashes of escapism. It's not like, he went hold for hold, toe to toe with Gunther. I mean, couldn't do that. He went for the chops and Gunther annihilated him, because Gunther's a former world champion, one of the best in the world. I like it when matches go like this. I'm not going to say who it was, but I know someone in entertainment here in Scotland who wrestled a match and told me to my face, oh, no, how could I ever match up with a wrestler? No, it won't be competitive. I'll be getting squashed for 20 minutes and then I'll get a surprise pin. And then they had a 20-minute competitive match with a wrestler because folks' egos get in the way. Pat McAfee clearly just wanted this to look great. And I thought it was really good. Little bit of nod from Gunther. Not the full blown, but a little bit of. I like the little nod of respect to him and Michael Cole at the end, because I think it said it was nothing personal, and I was wrong for you've got my respect. It was, you know what I mean. I never got the impression that it was meant to be personal. It was like I lashed out at the wrong people.
Aye, and I'm going to finish off the job and leave. Billy, I had so much fun with this. I really enjoyed it. I liked it. Of course, it wasn't a fucking 5-star classic. It was never going to be.
It shouldn't have been, should it?
No, it shouldn't. And it would have made no sense to be a 5-star classic. It's Pat McAfee, Indianapolis Colts kicker, against one of the greatest wrestlers of all time. It was never meant to be a 5-star pound-for-pound wrestling match. It was meant to be a nasty, gritty-looking, bit of a laugh fight. And I'm going to say something which is deemed controversial in this day and age, if you live online anyway. I think that the Pat McAfee hate is forced. I'm just going to say it. I think Pat's great.
I think it's jealousy.
I think a lot of people are jealous at the position he's in. I think Pat's great. I think he's funny. I know he's very American, and for especially people outside of America, it's hard to take that sometimes when you're very obnoxiously American. And I get that. I can understand why you might not like him, but the hate is forced. He's a talented commentator. He's a talented personality, and see when he needs to get in the ring, he can do what he needs to do. I was turning up to Backlash expecting to watch Gunther swing him about like an empty trackie. That is what I got. That is what I wanted. That is what I got. And Pat McAfee is just as important in that as Gunther. And when you step into wrestling, you will learn that. You know, it's not just about somebody carrying you. You've got to work both ways to make it look the way it should look. And Pat plays such an important part in that. I really enjoyed this. I had a lot of fun.
Pat was great. He helped the evolution of Gunther. Helped tell the story that Gunther had to tell. Of course, Michael Cole is massive over as well, so it helped. I enjoyed this. I can't disagree with the thing you said, Nate. I thought it was great. I enjoyed it. And yeah, the Pat McAfee, I've been a fan of Pat's. I mean, fucking hell. I mean, God, he's a career I would love to have, you know. Maybe not the football thing, but you know what I mean? It's just in terms of there's a guy that goes 110 into everything he does. I'm told he's an absolute sweetheart. Yes, he can be a little American, a little yeehaw at events and what have you, but hey, if that's who the guy is, he wears his heart on his sleeve, I don't really have an issue with that. He's fiercely popular with the fans. I do think the hate is forced, and I'm going to say it again, I think it's jealousy. I think.
Yeah, I agree.
And it does happen.
People won't like us saying that, Billy. People won't like us saying that.
They won't like you saying it, and I'll tell you something else, right? I've seen it with singers. I've seen it with actors. I've seen it with there'll be people somewhere that hate us because we are the commentators on ICW. Not because they don't like what we do. Maybe they don't, but they don't like what we do. It's because we are and they're not. And you get it when people go to football and they criticize teams or they criticize players because I could fucking play better than this. No, you couldn't. No, you couldn't. Even the worst professional footballer is better than you.
I feel like Pat McAfee's just been a victim of that same thing that happens in this day and age. And this isn't like, I'm not trying to turn this into like, Pat's a victim or anything like that. But I think he's fell into the trap that most kind of, when he first came in, everybody was like, this is fun. I really like him. He's funny. He's great. He's different. He started on commentary. Oh, he's funny. He's great. It's a different kind of, he's unlocked a new Michael Cole, yada, yada, yada. But then there was just a day where everybody collectively decided, I'm fed up of this. They threw their toys out the pram and they got bored of it. Just like, the football equivalent I can think of was like when Ryan Reynolds and Rob McElhenney bought Wrexham and everybody was like, this is great. Oh, look how well Wrexham are doing. And now that Wrexham are actually very successful, they're like, oh, well, it's just boring now, isn't it? Like, people just turn when they get fed up of stuff.
And it's not. It's not. Just remember that when Wrexham win the Premier League.
Yeah. Listen, I'm on side with Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds, just for the record. I love it. I love what they're doing. Just like I love what Pat McAfee's doing.
Unless they make a last minute bid for Rangers. That's all you got to say.
Yes, let's leave that out of here. Thanks very much.
Right. But that's just cover the show. I think we're both in agreement. Bit of a for me, it's a B negative, B minus, whatever. I just thought okay. I was worried right at the start because there's a bit with the crowd, but I genuinely thought I'm going to hate this. But I thought it was good.
It's very interesting that you use that sort of summary of things, because one of my biggest worries about this backlash was the last couple of years. And not to, I want us to wrap this up and get up the road, but one of the worries I had was that the last two backlashes really benefited from being Puerto Rico and Leon, and the crowds really lit up the show. And even though they were very predictable shows and very run-of-the-mill shows, the crowds made them feel really special. And they weren't going to get that in St. Louis this year. But I feel like the show made up for it. The quality of the show being fine and good quality made up for the fact we didn't have a rampant Leon or Puerto Rico crowd.
No. And I think there's actually still a bit of a hangover, and we will get the fuck out of here. I think you're right. I think there's a little bit of a hangover for that last year. When it went into Clash at the Castle here, where it was like, the crowds are incredible. Glasgow, you better up your game. And I think Glasgow was literally when it just hit the peak, and they went, aye, but the wrestling needs to be good. It's like, aye, but the wrestling needs to be good. And now we find ourselves in a different era. Post WrestleMania, a lot of work to be done, a lot of things to do. And hey, it's going to be interesting to see. Fucking hell, Alberto Del Rio's back with WWE. How the fuck did that happen? Holy shit.
Let's wait till next week to cover that shit show.
Definitely. Right. But on behalf of me and my broadcast colleague, Ryan Fitzsimons, it's time for us to get the fuck out of here. We hope you enjoyed Backlash. We'd love to hear what you thought, some of your thoughts going forward, and we'll get the fuck out of here. Till next time.